council study session today, Monday, July 25th. I don't believe that we have to do a roll call, so we can jump into our discussion items. But first, I would love to, and very happily, to welcome Sue as our new city manager. And welcome.
Thank you.
So first up, let's do remote meeting access for public participation. Who would like to introduce that?
That will probably be me. So in the little summary that I sent to you guys, just for discussion points, one of the questions that have been brought up to us is how council wants to proceed with public participation and how you want to do that remote meeting wise. So when the budget was adopted, council determined that it no longer wanted to record the regular meetings. And as part of cost savings for the budget over the year, that equals about 70,000 roughly. Some of the things that we do benefit from with the recordings is that it is something that is live streamed out for all of the public to be able to watch. Whoever wants to be on it, we have Facebook that is available. The meetings are recorded on Zoom. However, savings that could be done to this, it could be just a static camera that's in the background that would allow for the recording to take place. And then it's something that could be uploaded to Facebook if it was not live streamed, or it could be live streamed as well as a static camera. It's something that the computer could still be monitored if there are questions that you wanted to be asked, if you wanted to have that participation element in that. But it's something that helps to reduce additional costs. And we can post that out on the PEG channel, so we meet that requirement in order to continue to receive the PEG fees. So it's just a discussion that council needs to have and determine if they want to take it on to their regular council meeting and determine if they want to vote to reduce staffing for the recordings in any way. So it's something that if council wishes to allow to continue public participation remotely, I can say it, public participation remotely, you would need to let us know so that we can draft a public participation plan that encompasses the entire organization. I believe in the past we've had one that was citywide. Now we have one that is pretty specifically to Planning Commission, but it's something that can be listed out. These are the methods that we will use for public participation and engagement with our community. That one of the things that came out of COVID is the ability for people to attend online and feel like they're still participating in the meetings here. So it's just a discussion that you guys need to have among you to determine how council or staff responds to that with a plan going forward to bring back to you.
A question. Did you say we decided not to record regular meetings?
And that was an error. We record regular study sessions that we won't record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I misspoke. I'm sorry about that. We would still continue to record, although that's an option too. You know, it could be a static thing that is done so that the regular meetings are still broadcast out there and the participation is still allowed. In other communities that I've been in, we just had a static camera that recorded the entire meeting. It wasn't zoomed in upon anybody that was speaking, but it was something that could be encompassing of, if somebody was standing here and had a question that they wanted to present, they can come to the microphone as well, or in front of the camera that's on the Facebook Live. It's something that allows for that recording to be heard going forward. So that is part of the regular meetings that, if council determines they want to continue with that, can be done as a static method rather than having camera operators here, per se, to run the cameras. And then the study sessions would not be recorded.
I think Karen was gonna say
I think
something.
we have very few options for residents to have any say or input or ask questions or anything. And I know our live meetings were delayed for quite some time because the numbers said that more people were participating via Zoom. So I would definitely not want to see that option for residents go away.
Anyone else?
So are you saying, so what are you saying exactly is $70,000 per year, the static camera?
No, the fees to have the recordings done with the operation, the camera operators in the background
Okay.
part of that
Okay.
is where the
The
70,000
study
comes from.
sessions, the
And-
camera
and-
operations and then the study
And the
sessions.
number of sessions
Yeah.
that are being done. But if there's just, we own the cameras, so if there's just a static camera that's out there, then that is something that you still are allowed, or you still have the recordings that you're doing. As Councilwoman Miller pointed out, the importance of being able to have people be able to participate, that would still be provided for with the static camera in being able to respond if somebody raises their hand during public participation time in a council meeting. That could be addressed on the computer through the Zoom platform. It's just trying to lower that $70,000 threshold.
Didn't we make a big cut in that already?
That was to, yes, that was to do without the recording of the study sessions.
Right. Okay. And I also saw on the budget, we have cable TV revenue of $115,000. What, is that just go into the general fund? Is that something that can be used for
That's
this?
that's the PEG fees and the franchise fees that we get for the cable TV. And that is used towards Jim Nelson's wages.
It is,
Yep.
okay, thank you.
Also for equipment for this station too, as it comes out of that money.
So,
Oh, go ahead, finish.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wondered if anybody had been doing a head count as to how many residents were tuning into our meetings? Did anybody ever?
Last time it was 6 people and two of
Three,
them, two of them, or 2 to 3 was staff.
And that's in Zoom. I know that the number of hits on Facebook Live and YouTube are significantly higher. Do you know those numbers off the top of your
A quick
head?
number, last month's city study session, there was, as of a week ago when I last checked, there was 91 hits.
On the Zoom while
No,
we're
no,
on.
That's
on YouTube.
Right, okay, that's what, yeah,
On
YouTube.
Facebook, you actually have to go in and check.
So YouTube, we've been doing that
YouTube,
forever.
the response on YouTube, because I send that up, response of the meetings on YouTube are phenomenal.
Right.
We're gonna talk about transparency, there's a lot of people that come on YouTube, and they really do, even the study sessions are very well looked at.
Well, we probably didn't hear you say anything because you weren't at the microphone, but nonetheless, you're saying that we have.
No, I was just answering your question.
Yeah, no, but we had
For the YouTube, it's 91 hits.
In
and
YouTube,
that was
we've
that
had-
was a week ago.
we've been doing YouTube
Forever.
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 So I think what's, and I'm not, not saying what Barbara's asking or not. I think what we're talking about is the difference between having it live or Zoom. Is that what we're saying?
Zoom is live.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's what I
But
was,
having that, but having Zoom recorded. Never
Zoom's
mind, okay,
being
I got
recorded.
it,
Zoom's recorded and it's live.
gotcha.
Facebook is live. YouTube is, after I
Recorded.
edit it, is sent up to YouTube.
and do you edit from both the live and the Zoom? Or where are you editing from? Do you need both to send it through?
I edit from Zoom. Because Zoom makes a recording, I edit from Zoom's recording. Facebook is done, that's just hard drive.
Right. Although we do get a lot of hits on Facebook too, a lot of hits.
But that isn't
Yeah,
anything
Facebook
we
is live
get.
as well. If I wanted to edit live Facebook, I could, but there's no reason to, because Zoom is
Right.
recorded.
Thank you.
What were you saying, Karen?
I would said that we don't get the feedback from Facebook Live.
Right, but
Live, and
people
there's
are,
no chance for them to
Right, but people are able to, I mean, from a transparency perspective, they're able to watch the meetings.
Well, right.
And they are watching the meetings via Zoom. Or, I'm sorry, via Facebook as well. So,
And this is something that could still be uploaded to YouTube as well.
Right.
yeah.
So the way that it was done was, prior to Zoom, it was recorded live for TV and then also put onto YouTube the next day.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't live prior to, prior to Zoom.
Recorded and
Everything was
television,
recorded
cable.
and rebroadcast at a later point.
But you were able to log in and watch it on the cable station at the time that we were on.
I think Jim's gonna come back and tell us
I
no.
think we were, because that's how people were able, you couldn't have interaction, but it was still on the cable station is what I'm talking about.
I'm a bit of an historian at this. How it was done before Zoom was that it was recorded onto the recorder that we have, that's a hard drive recorder. It was recorded onto a DVD. It was recorded directly to the server. So at that point, we just turned around and just said, play this on the server, and the server would pick it up and play it back.
So only up until 2020 was the residents were allowed or
Yes,
had the
yeah.
ability to do a live screening of council meeting.
The first live recording would have been with the Zooms. We didn't do live recordings until we started doing the Zooms.
So I'm just saying, for all these years,
Right.
you haven't had live, we only
We've
started
never
live.
gone live until the
That's
Zoom
awesome. Okay.
recordings. And at that point, it was a Zoom recording plus Zoom meeting recording, then I would download the Zoom recording. I'd edit it to take off all the fluff at the ends. I put in the titles, et cetera. And I'd tighten that up. Then I'd send that at that point. This is new as of 2 years ago. Then I'd send that to YouTube. Then bang, anybody wanted to see it on YouTube could see it on YouTube.
Right.
So that was the next change. The third change is that one of those 3 cameras behind me is Facebook. And it's recording, as we speak right now, it's sending out to Facebook. And Facebook, we have like a lot of people watching Facebook at some of the meetings as well. The Facebook also makes a recording that I can download. It just turns out that the Zoom recording is a superior recording. So I wait until I get the recording from Zoom the next day, and that's what I edit and send to YouTube. Yeah, but before Zoom, we never went live. It simply went to the server. And if you wanted to see a meeting, you'd have to watch it on the station server, channel 15. I think we played it 5 times a day would have the city council meeting played. The study session was not recorded, only the city council meeting. And the city council meeting had been recorded that way and put onto the server for playback 5 times a day. Since I was started as an engineer here before I was really doing any management work, and that would have been in 2004. That's been happening. And they were making, when I came in, of course, I started saying, well, why don't we just make a DVD as well? In case we need it, then we'll have it. So we have DVDs and most everything until we started Zoom. And of course, the DVDs, who has a DVD, who has an optical player in their laptop right now? And I don't have to, you really do. That's unusual. You startled me. Well, Bruce doesn't startle me. It's startled that you have. Well, that's what Bruce does. He does
A geek.
lot more than right, so. But it's unusual. Most people do not have DVD players in their laptops anymore.
Okay, well, I appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, but I think, well, I'm gonna be meeting with Sue on Thursday. There's a bunch of options that, I'll be going, around with her as far as prices, et cetera. And there's, some options, I have some very positive options, I think, that will make a difference that we can, provide for you on next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think that'd be,
I think it'd be better if we had more information,
Well, I have all
different
that information,
options.
that's why I can give all that to Sue.
Yeah, we could have a better conversation.
Yeah, because
just
I
thought.
mean, as far as whether you want a camera operator or just have the camera static, we're gonna have all of those figures.
Okay.
Or how much it costs, just to put in a study session. And it's my guess right now that you have the budget to do that. Because if you're getting 91 hits on a study session, and you're looking for transparency, I mean, that doesn't take much to go. 91 people saw the meeting and know exactly what's happening inside this building, that if you turn that off, there's 91 people that are not gonna know what's going on inside this building. It's just that's my personal thought. But, and again, I have all the figures, because we've been going over the figures because of the recent budget. So, yes, I'll meet with Sue on Thursday, and everything that you're looking for will be available at that point.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Jalen, I think that would be really helpful to have before making a decision, so we can get a sense of
Yeah,
what all the different options will cost, and so we can weigh the transparency versus cost.
Yeah, can you see what options are available for residents, because we're.
I have them all, I have the prices from all, because
Okay.
I've been working with the treasurer as far as what we did with the pricing for the budgets. So those figures are already down and in a folder, I don't have to look them up, I already have them. So whatever I can do to be helpful, please let me know.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Any other questions about the recording of the remote meeting access? Okay, moving to the second one, sidewalk replacement program, the asphalt driveways. So this, okay, am I introducing this?
I can if you want me to. It's not a problem.
Thanks.
Sorry, I was taking notes. It takes me just a second here.
No problem.
You'll find with me, I'm a note taker. I have my little goodie book here that I take all my notes in. Just to have discussion on this as well, I know concern has been raised over 11 properties that are not in compliance with the ordinance that have asphalt driveways, and our ordinance requires all sidewalks to be made of concrete material. So those 11 driveways, in order to bring everybody into compliance, have been notified that their driveways would need to be updated. Prices have been sent out on that as well, so that people are aware of the prices. So some of the things that I noted in here is that the entire city has been asked to comply with the ordinance, so not anybody is being singled out. It's not something that we're trying to be mean to people about. It's just making sure that everybody's driveway is in compliance. Second, we can't really overlook an ordinance just because a driveway hasn't been addressed previously. It's something that we need to bring all driveways into compliance to make sure that we meet the ordinance. If there's an issue with the ordinance itself, then that needs to be addressed rather than not following the ordinance. And then we can't grandfather it in. So it's not something that can just not be done. We're looking at everybody, and asking them, please make sure that your sidewalks are concrete, to make sure that we don't have trip hazards, that we don't have issues with them. And asphalt is harder to maintain than concrete is. So while it's a cost and it's something that some of these homeowners have not ever had to have done in their driveway, it's something that does have to be addressed. And part of that goes along with our road programs as well. And we do have a sidewalk program that we put together that addresses areas within the city, and the areas with the properties that were in question, specifically 5 of those properties out on Glenwood. Those are in the 22-year repair district. So those are the things that are brought to you guys for discussion tonight.
I would like to go first, since I'm one of the driveways. I have looked and looked, and I can't find anything in an ordinance dealing with driveway construction or requirements for sidewalk blocks to go through the driveway. I believe the sidewalk ordinance has been in place since 1991. My driveway has been this way prior to 1989. And during the last sidewalk replacement program, I replaced my entire sidewalk, and there was no requirement to do anything about my driveway at that point. There's nothing wrong with it. It will be a major project to dig it up and insert sidewalk blocks, because it has to go 6 inches deep. We pass ordinances all the time that residents aren't in compliance with, so people are grandfathered in. If every time we passed an ordinance, everyone had to comply with it, I mean, that's not even doable. Other people do get exceptions to things, like fences in front yards. The sidewalks were marked in March, and assessments were sent out. And I'm not sure why these particular driveways were not marked until June. We don't know what the plans are for Glenwood. Our street was supposed to be done, I believe, this year. We were on the list, then we were on the eligible list. Then we were on the approved list, then we were off the list, and we were told we're getting a water main replacement, but I can't find that anywhere on the website as far as upcoming projects, planned projects for water mains. I am concerned that Giffords Webster is just able to go around and just make what seems to be random decisions. And I don't know, I filed a FOIA asking for the amount of money that they have been paid for managing this type of project, and I haven't received that yet. I have concerns about the planning and the work. So overseeing all of these things, there was a water main break at Glenwood west of Santa Barbara. Both of those roads have been redone. I don't know why the water main wasn't replaced, and if there wasn't a problem with it, what caused it to break less than a year after that road was repaved?
Anyone else?
Just to specify in here, section 6283 of our ordinance says all sidewalks constructed, reconstructed, rebuilt, or repaired shall be of cement concrete composed of properly proportioned, clean, fine, and coarse aggregate, Portland cement, and water having such physical properties that when mixed to a homogeneous mass and deposited to a sufficient depth upon the proper subgrade, worked and finished to a smooth and true surface, and properly protected against the effects of the elements, and the hardened resulting concrete sidewalk shall sustain without failure a compressive load of 3,500 pounds per square inch at the end of 28 days. So there is language in there that does state that.
But this isn't a sidewalk. The sidewalk isn't being replaced or repaired or whatever. There's no sidewalk there
But
right now. It's a driveway.
Your sidewalk would continue through that. That's still a transmissible area that's considered sidewalk in your driveways. And
But I'm saying that there isn't anything that addresses a driveway, is what I'm saying. And this has been this way for all of this time. So are we gonna take all of our ordinances and go around to houses and say, you're not in compliance, you're not in compliance, you're not in compliance, you have to fix all of these things? We don't do that.
In this case, yes, that's what we're doing. I mean, we approved a sidewalk repair program to bring in 3 years, to bring all sidewalks in the city up to code, and that's what's happening. So that Scott, you can comment on this, but you talked about legally non-conforming is what you were describing, but we're bringing the entire city up to code, so legally non-conforming wouldn't really apply, correct?
Correct. Excuse me, correct. Typically a legally non-conforming argument is more based on a zoning ordinance regulation. This is the general police power ordinance. I agree. I don't know when this ordinance was drafted. The last revision was 1991. It doesn't mean that it wasn't in existence prior to that, but I don't have any records of that. I don't know if it's something that the city would have. My guess is it probably does predate that, but I have nothing to support that position. Regardless of that, any time, and from some of the photos that I saw, I don't know exactly whose driveway that was, but that driveway clearly had been resurfaced, including the portion of the sidewalk. That repair or maintenance should have triggered if there was an argument that they were non-compliant, or non-conforming, awfully non-conforming, that maintenance, that update should have required that to be replaced with concrete. But to the point that lawful, legal non-conforming uses, it wouldn't be applicable under the general ordinance power.
So why wasn't it a violation when I spent all the money to replace my entire sidewalk the last time?
I
And I
don't
would
know
imagine
when-
Scott Ringler was probably managing it.
I don't have an answer to why they did or didn't do. I can tell you that a municipality is not precluded from enforcing their ordinances if they don't enforce them equally across the board, or if there's a period of time. An example, in one of my other communities, this case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and we had a favorable decision. The township decided to enforce the provision of its ordinance against a property that was running a landscaping business. They had been running that business for 30 years on that property, and they claimed we're legally non-conforming. There's been an abandonment of the ordinance by the township. When the township began enforcement proceedings, that decision to do that was upheld. So a delay in enforcement is not a defense to enforcement.
I don't believe that it was a thing. I mean, some of our houses are some of the oldest houses in that section of the city.
Again, that ordinance has been here for at least 31 years.
Yeah, 1991, exactly. So why, after I moved in 1989, it was passed in 1991. I'm not sure what year, if it was 2002, I'm not sure what year the last sidewalk replacement program was. As I said, I replaced, so everything was nice, I replaced the entire section, or went through the city, replaced the entire sidewalk, and there was never an issue with the driveway. I mean, we have houses that don't have driveways. There's a house on Santa Barbara that the sidewalk stops at her driveway. Her driveway is still asphalt. Why did that go through?
I mean.
And why was this done, as I
Citing
said?
specific driveways, I don't know why or why not. I can't speak for what prior administrators did or prior code enforcement officers did. The ordinance is what the ordinance is, and it reads as it reads.
I know, I don't read it that way, but, and also, as I said, the sidewalks were marked back in March. And then they went through and undid some of the marks because they had been overzealous. And then why, in June, were these driveways all of a sudden marked? With no discussion, with no...
I know I'm new here, but I also feel that from the discussions that I've had with staff, this round of sidewalk repairs, the program, has been very comprehensive. There was 15 miles of sidewalks that were walked, which is immense, I think, a very comprehensive undertaking. And I don't know if that has been performed to that level previously. You know, we needed to know what the sidewalks, the status of the sidewalks in our community in order to be able to put together the program to begin with. In that, 15 miles of sidewalks, that's a lot of sidewalks to walk in. Yes, there was some overzealousness on that initially, but that was corrected too. We went back and we looked at that and kind of tweaked that program. Things got overlooked a little bit. The driveways on Glenwood got overlooked, and now they have been added into the program, which they should be a part of. Another portion of the ordinance states that no sidewalk shall be less than 4 inches in thickness, and where it crosses existing or proposed driveways on roadways less than 6 inches in thickness. So it does talk about when you have sidewalks that are across your yard and you have your driveway that goes through, that should be crossing that driveway. So I'm sorry it's not something that was, initially found, but it is something that does need to be followed now, according to
Since
our
1991,
ordinance.
it wasn't found.
There's probably a lot of things in the ordinance that hasn't been done. That's why code enforcement is such an important part of what we've brought into the city. And we're trying to address those things going forward. But there have been things that probably have not been addressed previously, and we're working to rectify that. Will we get everything all at once? No, we won't. It's something that will continue, and I'm sure we'll miss certain things, because it is such a huge project to undertake to begin with. But still, it is something that does need to be addressed.
So is that the case with all of our ordinances then? We can go back and make sure people are in compliance with them?
Well, I'm sure there are state laws and laws in our nation that, not everything is followed to the letter of the law, but it doesn't mean that that law is still not effective and that it shouldn't be followed. It's not that we're picking and choosing the ordinances that we're trying to follow. We have a sidewalk program that we are implementing, and we're not responsible here. I don't think any of us were here when those sidewalk programs were done at that time. So I can't answer for that. I wouldn't expect staff to answer for that. But it doesn't mean that they can't be upheld now and shouldn't be upheld now.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes,
Are these
ma'am.
the only 11 driveways in the whole city of Lathrop that were done this way? Does anybody know?
Or is that just in this section?
No, this was for year 2, there were 11 driveways identified. There were no asphalt driveways identified in year 1 that had this situation for construction.
What about the rest of the city?
Yeah, do we know about the rest of the city?
The other
We know that
sections.
we know that there was, one in, I guess technically year 1 was Ruby Lee's driveway approach. That was corrected within, when the DDA was doing theirs. The DDA has the 12-mile sidewalk, that was entirely asphalt, that was replaced with concrete. We know the DDA does know that there's going to be, there are sections of driveway approaches that are asphalt going into the alleys, which will be corrected as we move forward with the alley and approach programs over the next couple of years. So we know that those conditions exist.
But DDA is
yes, the
paying
D-
for those,
Yes.
right?
So,
Are there other residences in the city that have asphalt driveways? Or this is
These are
just
the
11
11
driveways in section 2?
I'm
these
sure we'll
are
find
the
it.
11 driveways that were identified in year 2. Year 3
Right.
work has not, we have not begun to walk and identify year 3 project work. I would imagine that we will find at least a few. But we won't know that until we begin walking some more miles of sidewalks.
And when is our street scheduled to be done? Because then our approaches will be.
I don't have a definite date. We know that year 2 project work has begun. They are working their way south. They're working their way, well, they're supposed to be working their way south. They're starting in the south, working their way north right now. I don't have concrete, no pun intended, I'm sorry. No specific dates for any given street. I know that generally speaking, the contractor is popping flags on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays, and then pouring Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, however it needs to happen, and working through restoration as they go as well. So,
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. When is our street going to be done, not our sidewalks? What is the plan for the water main project? Because it may impact the approaches on the driveways and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I believe.
And the paving of the road.
I believe, I'd have to go back and double check, but I'm pretty sure that the water main is scheduled for next summer with the street to be done either later that summer or the next paving year.
So then we may be paying for additional work based on that.
Approach
No.
work,
Not for the
the
code.
first four, when
3 feet.
paving roads,
Mhm.
the first 4 feet of approach work is covered
road
as part of
cost.
that project.
If needed.
But that will
If-
be
if-
asphalt, not cement.
It would, like for like, so in your instance, it would be, they would match up the asphalt paving with your asphalt approach. If your neighbor has a concrete driveway, they would match up. They would remove the concrete and replace it with concrete, so like for like. If a non-compliant culvert is identified in that process, then the resident would be responsible for the cost of fixing that culvert
And none
work.
of that assessing or anything has been done yet?
I would have to go back and check for the paving work
For year 3?
for year 3.
Yeah, I know they
Well, we're-
are starting to work on the engineering for year 3, I believe, from talking to. Councilman
More than
Prescott.
likely, the engineering work
Yeah.
is, but I don't know
Now,
if
is
they've
that-
begun the process of identifying any non-compliant culverts. That would have to be something I would check in, I'd have to look
Yeah.
into.
You-
Is
you-
the water main work separate from the road paving that's going to be done there?
Yes.
Yes. The whole idea is to do the water main
Right.
and then pave afterwards, because you don't want to have to pave twice, because typically what you have to do is cut up the first 3 or 4 feet of the road, so you don't want to pave it and then cut it back up, which is why your road was pushed back.
But where is the money for year 4? We don't have a 4-year plan, we have a 3-year plan.
Well, we'll hopefully have money left over for year 3, and we also have $450,000 and growing in the local road fund, which is designed for exactly these kinds of projects. So the
But
money's
there's
there.
no guarantee that that's going to be done, right?
I mean, I guess there's no guarantee on anything, but, you know, if we do water main replacement, we have always followed it up with repaving. I mean, you know, Wiltshire and, was it Roseland? No, Wiltshire and.
San Rosa.
Santa Rosa. You know, those water mains were replaced last fall. It was too late in the season to redo the road itself. They were redone, they're actually being redone as we speak. So it's been the policy of, you know, when a water main is done, either that year or the following, the road is repaired. And there's no reason to think that process won't continue.
Is there anything else? Okay, we'll move on to regular meeting agenda items.
That is just on there if anybody has a question on anything for the regular meeting that they wanted to discuss prior to the meeting.
You know, one thing, just minor thing, and I'll make a motion during the agenda. The agenda is missing the public comment for items on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, see, I see it under 4, is number 4 on this one. Public items.
Oh, my copy doesn't have it on there.
Yep, under that.
Number 4?
Yep.
Oh. Oh, I guess it does. I take that back. Maybe I was looking at the study session meeting? I don't know, I'm losing my mind. Never mind.
Was there anything else that anyone would like to discuss that is on that's going to be like an action request for consideration for approval? Okay, hearing none, I will open it up to public comment.
Sue, did you want to bring up the MERS and the other?
Oh, I'm so sorry, yes.
Okay.
There will be a couple of things to add to our agenda tonight.
If you want, I can discuss the MERS.
Yep. The one additional one is the MERS defined contribution plan for my addition. There is no cost to the city to establish that. So it's just approving that this has been done, so, or that you guys voted when you did my contract, but now this is actually putting it into action. The next thing is the auditors, nope.
No, every year for our OPEB, we have to do an evaluation on our OPEB, and this year, our CBIZ, we have a contract with them so they can do our evaluation for our OPEB, so that we can get that done for the audit. So it tells how much we have to fund or how much we're funding and things like that, and what the cost is for the city and that. So CBIZ is the company we've been using in the past, and they've always done our evaluation. And so this year, we need to renew a contract with them.
Okay, and that's
Does
gonna be-
everybody know what OPEB stands for? Other post-employment benefits? Just took me a while to learn that acronym, so I just try to make sure everybody's aware of what that means.
So that's gonna be added to.
K and L,
I got 'em written down.
What number, what,
K and
So
L,
are we
Yes.
gonna do them as,
did you say K and M?
L.
L,
yeah, K and L.
okay, thank you. Is there anything else? Okay, open it up to public comment. You may come to the podium to speak, but there is no podium, so I mean to the laptop and speak, or raise your hand in the chat, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Mayfield, and I live on Lathrup Boulevard. And I wanted to bring up what has been going on as far as the construction on the street. Right now, standing in my drain, there are 3 to 4 inches of water still in the drain because they did not complete all the drain work. They did one next to me where it had just been done and a permit had been pulled when it was done a couple years ago. They did not put a new drain back in there, and so there's no drain coming from theirs to mine, and then mine, but there's water on that side too, because there's nowhere else for it to go. If you look from, like where my house is, and I'm at 26400 Lathrop Boulevard, if you go south of there, the whole, where they made arrangements for the drain, some is done, some isn't done. They have not completed that work. On my driveway specifically, when they were digging up the drain, they broke the concrete that they had just poured. They didn't repair that as well. I would just like to make a suggestion too, that for future streets that are going through the process, it would be nice if on a Friday, the people that where they have worked, just that street, receive a letter in their mailbox or even at their door, just saying, here's what we did this week and here's what you can expect next week, because we see it in the newsletter saying the work will be continued, but we don't know if what they should have done has been completed or not, and we don't know what the plan is for next week. And so even when we're parking on different streets and things, there are times when we could have parked in our own driveways because they didn't do anything. They'd be there one day and then the next day they wouldn't even show up. So it would just be nice to let the households know on a weekly basis, okay, here's what we've completed and this is what's going to happen next week, because what's in the newsletter isn't sufficient. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
I have pictures too if anyone wants to see the whole
So
area.
you want to either give them to one of the Sues.
Give them to me, I know we've been trying to.
Okay.
Yes, I understand your frustration 100%.
Okay, and we'll get with that.
Susie, is the, I can't remember the address of the website, but is the website, the GIS website, is it updated daily?
No, not daily. It is updated weekly, though.
Okay, because I was gonna say that might be an option too, but if it's not daily, that's not gonna get what she's
I
asking for.
don't necessarily think that the
It's not gonna
website
work.
will capture,
Right, right.
what Ms. Mayfield,
Yeah.
is asking for, and,
Yeah.
despite our best efforts this year, it is backfired, unfortunately. So
we will do better, but I will get with Miss Mayfield to make sure we have all of her.
That really is, I mean, it's
For
a
issues.
great idea
Yes.
regarding the parking, because, as you know, I was a victim of it twice,
Yes.
where they never came back to finish the approaches, and it just so happened, my neighbors just cut the strings and started parking in their own driveway, and so I was the only one still on the street.
Yes, we're having some communication challenges. I don't know if I'd be surprised if I were you to see our paving contractor appear at a future meeting. So we are trying very diligently to work through that with them so we can better inform the residents. I know this has not been easy, to say the very least.
It'd be helpful.
So,
That would be. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Abraham, and I live at 26336 Lathrup Boulevard. Kathy is my neighbor. Clearly, we're here as a team. But a couple things that have been concerning to me is when the cement was done at my home, you know, they use these big bulldozer things with the claws. And so in doing that, they broke some pieces of the old cement they were joining the new to. And I made a call to the person that was on that one pager from the company a couple weeks ago. I've never gotten a return call back. And my question is, and actually I went down and looked at everybody else's house to see if that was the case at their homes. And only one other house where I found, and what they did was to put cement like in the hole to kind of fix it. But clearly with the freeze thaw, that's not going to be an effective solution. And I can see now the weeds are going to start growing up where there's now space with that black stuff they put. So there's a few different holes. So it would be nice to just have a return phone call. You know, I'm an over 30-year Lathrop Village resident. I love the city, but I've just noticed over time they've not met my expectations in terms of seeing things being done either timely, getting phone calls returned, and then this project is kind of another stressful component because I'd like to get some things done at my house. Well, I can't know when to invite the contractor because I never know when they're going to be able to get on my street. One day they laid asphalt, the next day they tore it up, put it back down again. And so just to kind of see that, it's been a little bit frustrating. And I can appreciate this is a major project for the city. But there are some things I think that can be learned so that as you continue with the process in the next few years, it will be easier. Residents might not be as frustrated as some of us early adopters are of our new roads. We love the roads. I'm also a biker, and I know that there was a marking last year from a grant to identify the road, and that happens to be the road they have now tore up. And so I assume if there's money, they're going to
They put the markings
back.
Because Santa Barbara's was replaced.
Yeah, and so it's a beautiful street now that's very smooth, that everybody loves, but then there's also traffic issues because people run the stop sign right at Margate and Lathrop frequently. I even saw one of the trucks carrying a bulldozer run it the other day. And so maybe some police presence around the construction, both for the safety of those folks that are working, because they've been very generous. When people see a bulldozer but the car's still coming down the street, clearly, where are you going? You know, you can't get through the street. They put some of the orange barrels out. A FedEx driver got out of his car. I thought he was delivering something to my house, but I know I didn't order anything. He moved the orange barrel and then got back in and went down the street. And I'm like, it's there for a purpose, dude. You know, they had just did the asphalt, and now you've got cars going through it when it's not dry. So there needs to be a few things tightened up to make sure that this is an effective and efficient process.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Abraham. And taking notes, and I'm sure Susie and Sue Squares are taking notes also. Anyone else that's on Zoom? Okay, moving to mayor and council comments. yeah, I was going to bring up the fact that we do need to do something about the speeding. You know, that has been one of my issues on Santa Barbara for a while. And I agree that people do come around cars that are parked without stopping. And I don't know what we can do about that. I have been through numerous neighborhoods. I know this is not a fun conversation about what I'm about to say, but I'll bring it up anyway. I learned that from Bruce, just to keep bringing stuff up. So.
It's called being a pain in the ass. I'm very good at it.
About, yes.
Yeah.
Speed bumps. You know, I've seen the ones that are really high, I've seen the ones that are low, I've seen the ones that are plastic. It's something that I just think that we really might want to start considering, especially the smoother these streets get. It's something, I'll keep bringing it up. I know everyone keeps saying, meh, but it is, I agree with that one.
Is there any way, Scott, we could somehow do more patrolling? I mean,
I'm telling you, right now, it's been very, very tough. We've had a couple injuries, and we are pretty short-handed right now. So we try to do our best. We try to move around the city. I get phone calls daily about speeding and running stop signs, and we try to do traffic details and move people around. We're trying our best.
yeah.
You can give me a radar. I keep telling you that. I'm more than happy to help out.
I know I still owe our former city manager a taser as well.
But I think that is, as you're walking, you see kids out on their bikes and things like that, it gets kind of scary. And again, I'm not trying to have a bias on Santa Barbara, but from Wilshire all the way around to Bloomfield, there's no stop sign. So if you get up enough speed from there, and I've heard it, that's the
Right.
scary part, that you hear it, you don't necessarily see it.
Right.
Yeah, between walking and biking, I'm doing about 7 to 9 miles on our 4 quadrants a day, and it is staggering how many people run the stop signs. Just absolutely staggering.
Now, do you want me to start writing down license plates? I can help out any way possible, because it is, it's scary. But anyway, that was the only thing that I believe I have at this time. I can't think of anything else. Any other comments?
Can I make one comment? I have noticed there's a lot of branches over some of our stop signs. I'm not making excuses for people going through stop signs, but I have noticed that's
Will you give us
an
the
issue.
streets
I
when you
will.
see them? And so
I should be taking pictures.
So you go fix it.
Yeah. Okay.
That'd be great. But Barb just saved somebody. Anyone else?
If any of you notice that, please let us know so that we can get that addressed. Thank you.
And is it a city issue, or is it the residents' property issue, or who addresses it?
It would be a
I
city
think,
issue.
I think the DPW,
Yeah,
Okay.
they would
something
want
like
to clear
that.
that.
Depends on where the tree's at.
Anyone else?
It's usually on the corner of one street and another.
Wondering when we're gonna have a water loss update?
I was going to give one at the council meeting,
Okay.
brief, but
And then also, I did want to address something. People have been coming to me, there've been, I know of at least 10 people that have expressed concern and fear about complaining about things or bringing things up or speaking up at meetings because they feel that after they've done that, they've been retaliated against. So 10 is kind of a lot of people, and they're not friends and neighbors, and so it's kind of spread out. Doesn't seem like it's a coincidence, but I would like people to pay attention to that, and if there have been others, please let me know.
Is it something that you and I can talk about later, and you can share with me, and perhaps I can meet with them and try to sort through, or you can be part of that as well? I would love to do that.
Sure.
Awesome, thank you.
If we can get information on, what happened.
Yep, absolutely. I would love to help with that.
Anything else?
I got a few things. I'll do them now rather than at the council meeting. I know one thing I had talked to the former city administrator about just prior to her departure was putting more phone numbers on some of the public announcements, because I had some older residents say something to me. I had a phone call this week from another elderly resident who, asked if we could put, on things like the quarterly magazine and the public access channel, where we're always putting email addresses and web addresses, if we could also put a phone number on there. And, I know we have 99.2% of our residents have internet access, but there still are some who, who don't and could use those numbers, so that was one thing. Just wanted to get an update. About a month ago at the last meeting, I brought up the issue with Tringali and the fact that they were blocking the streets and doing the zigzag pattern and getting out of their vehicle for a couple minutes at a time. And I have noticed that it has continued over the last month, but I did want to see what their response was. I know we said we were going to contact them. So did anybody contact them, or?
I would have to check with that because I gave it to the front counter. So, because they usually come in to talk to us every Monday. They come in to find out if we have any complaints or anything, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
It'd
look
be
into
great if
that.
they would stop that. We talked a month and a half ago about getting a phone in here with the speakerphone. I don't know if that's happened. Just wanted to follow up with that. Another thing I brought up was with respect to the hanging baskets. Again, the one on Sunnybrook is one of the only, on the west side, is one of the only ones that's on the left side, the north side of the street, and it's also one of the few that is right on Southfield Road, as opposed to setback 20 or 30 feet. So the problem is people coming out of Sunnybrook, making the left turn to go south, have to cross over 5 lanes. It's already a dangerous intersection, and now with where the pot is, where the hanging basket is, you actually literally have to pull out onto Southfield Road to see around to see whether or not the cars are coming. So that just needs to be moved 180 degrees and it'll be out of the way.
This side.
Yeah, east side.
East side. Sorry, I'm not sure.
No,
I'll
what?
ask the,
West side of the road. So,
Sunnybrook on the west side, over by George's.
Yeah, where George's Soccer
Okay,
Place,
my
the
bad.
one right, yeah, the hanging basket right there.
Anything else?
No, the rest will do the council meeting.
All right, I think I'm sorry, that's the only thing about not having, okay. Well, then, if we don't have any more public comment, council comment? Sue, do you have anything you would like to say at this meeting, or this, no?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, well then, I would take a motion to adjourn until 7:30.